Choosing the right research on your compass is numerous, and there are a lot of mistakes you can make. You can literally waste points, and right now there is no way of getting those points back. Yes, later on in the game, you will get tons of points, and it doesn't really matter that much anymore. But till you get there, you don't have a lot of points, and more importantly, you most of the time do not have the resources to actually build all those buildings you have just unlocked, which brings me already to my first issue. Now, this is not really advice on what to choose, but this is something for the developers I hope they would change very soon, is when you are at the compass and you see something to unlock, I would love to see actually what this building costs before I unlock it, because there are some buildings here which definitely rise and fall with their cost, and this is why some of the choices I made on the compass, and I will tell you here in a minute, are just not feasible. Because, yes, they sound great, and then you unlock them, then you see how much they cost, especially at the beginning, and you go, where do I get the coins? Where do I get the resources from? That's not tier 1, that's not tier 2, that's like some tier 3 stuff. So, huh? And I would really love to see that the developers are putting in how much those buildings actually cost and what they exactly cost in a future update. Now, the next thing is we will only focus on tier 1 and 2 because that is already enough, and we will not talk about houses. There will be an extra video on Thursday where I am taking a closer look at all the different houses and cabins you can choose from and which are the best choices there. Another thing you have to choose for yourself is boosters. Because depending on your playthrough and what you were doing, depending on the map you're on, yada yada yada, you will need some of the boosters where others are just meaningless to you and you don't have to really put a point in. But that is up to your playthrough. And I can tell you that boosters are sometimes a good choice in comparison to some of the other unlocks. Now, that leads us to the first thing you should unlock, or, well, that leads us to the first category, and that is all the categories which will make it so that you are moving your pirates around faster in your base from A to B. Get those things by the end of tier 1. Why? Because they're all very expensive. You don't have the money for it anyways, and putting some points early into those things is just a waste of your compass. Do not do that before you are not leaving tier 1 or you are even active in tier 2. When you are starting, you have to have the gold coins. Speaking of which, let's talk about the first building you should definitely get, and that is the trading post. The trading post is amazing because it does allow you to just sell wares, right? You need some extra money you want to make on the side. Get some trading post. Even if you are not getting some of the rare resources, just having some food coming in can make you some money at the beginning over time, which you desperately need. Yes, I know you will make most of the money by just doing pirate adventures around the world, but especially at the beginning, people like to stay on their island and they need a source of income. So a trading post is the right way to go because it does produce quite a bit of passive income over time. And as I said, just getting some food production going and send that to the trading post has helped me quite a bit to get out of a sticky situation when it comes to the coins. And yes, they do cost 100 coins though, so keep that in mind. It's quite expensive, but you will make back that money relatively quickly, and then you have a nice passive income. That leads us to the second building. Speaking about cost cuts, let's talk about the salvage dock. The salvage dock is reducing the construction and repair costs of your ship by 20% for each salvage dock on your island. Now, before you think, wait a minute, if I'm putting 5 down of those, I reduce my costs by 100%, right? No, you don't. This is basically 20% of the cost, right? So every time you reduce it by 20%, it takes the new cost into account and then reduces again 20% of that. So you can never really reach like 100% reduction. It will always cost something, but even having just two of those salvage stocks up is really helping you in the long run. Not so much for building ships, that doesn't really cost too much, but the repairs, oh yeah, it can get quite expensive. And I love to have just two salvage stocks up. And there isn't much else to choose here, which is like super important, because that leads us to the third building, which is awesome, but which I do believe doesn't belong here. This is not a tier 1 building. This is a tier 2 building at best, and maybe even a tier 3 building. The gambling den. What does that thing actually do? Well, in itself, the gambling den, which you can see right here, is pretty amazing. You go here, you pay every hour, if you so desire, 120 coins. Then you will roll 2 dice, and depending on the number you will roll, you will get an hour-long buff. So let's say you are rolling a 2. Well, then you are getting a 5% buff in production. If you're rolling a 12, well, you are getting 30%. You can see that right here, right? The last time I did roll a 9, and I got 22.5 production boost for an hour. Keep in mind that only the buildings are getting boosted which are in the vicinity of the pirate tower. So only this area I have in my pirate tower is getting boosted. If I want to boost my other areas, well, I have to build gambling dens there, and I have to pay the extra cost. So keep that in mind. But that is an amazing building to really produce a lot of items, and this is how I make my money right now, right? I'm boosting my rum and medicine production and sell those things and make a lot of coin. And yeah, that paid off. But you need quite a bit of money. Not just does it cost 120 coins per hour, but the gambling den itself costs another 100 coins, and this is how you can burn a lot of coins relatively quickly if you're not careful. And this is why I don't really see this as a tier 1 building, more like a tier 2 where you start to actually have some coins. Now that leads us to the last one, and that is the crow's nest. For every crow's nest, gain 20 coins per discovery event entered with a ship. Do not waste your coins on this. This thing is unfortunately shit. Why? Well, yes, it is true that the crow's nest is giving you a 20 coin every time you are doing a discovery event. The problem with it is that it actually costs 100 coins to build. So that means you have to do at least 5 discovery events before you even break even. Now, there is a little bit of a ray of hope here, and that is, yes, this does also work for rediscovery. So if you don't know, after a little bit of time and you have no ships in an area, the fog of war will return, and you have to send a ship there again to see the area again. And yes, that will net you a 20 coin. And you might think, oh, wait a minute, Mo. That means I can basically do an infinite money glitch by just waiting for the fog of war to return, send a ship out again, and make some extra coin. Sure. You really want to do that? Like, think about that for a minute. You really want to send out ships every time, so that means you have one specific ship you are sending around every single time, every few minutes, just to get a measly 20 coins. Yes, I know you can build more of them. I think there are just better ways to make money, and the biggest problem is, as I said before, you have to spend 100 coins first. So that means you have to at least send the ship around 5 times before you even get the coin back. If it would give you more coins, or if it would cost half of it, I would say yeah, then it's definitely worth it. But the 100 coin cost, really hard to sell. Really hard to sell. So much so that I say don't waste your time. Which leads us now to the tier 2 segment. Oh boy. Tier 2 is a little bit weird. There's a lot of like nice to have things in here, but nothing really where say, oh my god, you need this. Like, they do exist, and we will talk about those buildings in just a minute, but there isn't much here. Yes, there are buildings which will help you with your cohesion capacity, or will net you some coin every time a drifter is recruited, which sounds all kind of nice. But by the way, this event is only counting for the event itself. So if you have a drifter event, you will get 10 coins at the end. And it's like, okay. If you want that, if you need that, you can take it, but they are just at that point there are better ways to make coin in tier 2. So I don't think this is really great. And as I said, all the other things here, the boosters or the cohesion capacity, that's not really anything important. Like, I have so much cohesion, I don't really know what to do with it. I'm playing on normal with that said. Maybe on the harder difficulty, cohesion is becoming a bigger problem, but I'm at the point where I don't need cohesion really. So those buildings are unfortunately fall flat. The same goes with the Mercenary Guild Hall. I don't think that is doing much. And it's all too great, especially when you have good ships you can just send out to stop any crown ships coming too close to your island. So let's talk about the actual buildings you should get. The first one might be a surprise, but that is the Shrine of the Sea. So, what does this do exactly? The Shrine of the Sea is now every time when you have an event on the map with one of your ships and you are successful at it, will increase one stat per random on your ship by +1. And you can do that indefinitely. Every time you win an event, +1, +1. So you can really boost up your ship. Now, of course, there is a little bit of a fine print here, which reads that the moment you are coming back to your pier, those buffs will go away and you have to start at 0. But there is even more fine print, and I'm not really sure if this is something they want or if this is just outright bugged and they have to fix it. But what doesn't count are the free ports. So let's say your ship is badly wounded and you have to repair it, right? You are sending that ship to a free port instead of a pier, repair it there, and you will still keep all your buffs. So as long as you are not returning to your island and bring back all the resources you have gathered, you can get an insane amount of buffs on your ship. Now, again, I don't know if that is a bug, if that is something which is actually intentional. I wouldn't be too surprised if at some point they actually fixing that. But this is why the Shrine of Sea is really powerful right now, and I highly recommend that to get it first. The second building, which is a must-have building, my opinion, is the Bounty Hunters Guild Hall. Now, when this is a must-have building, why did you not mention this first? Because you don't really need it at that point. This is one of those buildings, again, which you definitely need later on. But when you're unlocking it at tier 2, it's kind of weird to be there. So, what does this building do? Well, exactly what it says. You can hire some mercenaries for coin to gather resources you cannot produce on your island. You can only find them by doing some raids or, well, as I said, using the mercenaries, right? So you definitely want this building because you want those resources. Yes, you can farm them on the world map, but sometimes you just need them quickly. They only cost 50 coins for quite a bit of them, so it's not a big deal. And I definitely recommend this building, but not immediately. Like, this is one of the buildings you want to get when you are leaving tier 2, because all the items you need here you don't really need till the end of tier 2 or even tier 3. So don't waste your points too early on it. That's as simple as that. And those are the buildings I recommend. So, TLDR, get the trading post, get the salvage stock, get the gambling den, ignore that, get all the other things you need to get into tier 2 on which you think is feasible for you, and definitely get the buildings which will make your pirates move faster from A to B, but do that at the end of tier 1. And then of tier 2, well, there it really comes down to what you need right now, but the two must-have buildings are clearly the Shrine of the Sea and of course the Bounty Hunters Guild at the end. And yes, we will talk about their cabins in the next video. With that said, this is also the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you still have some questions or ideas, let me know down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Also, if you're new to the channel, you like Corsair Cove, or strategy games in general, because that's what we are solely focusing on here on the Mole and the Management channel, I would appreciate if you would consider to subscribe, because it would help me out a great deal. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. Bye bye.